Continuing with the lesson in wave optics, there is a phenomena called polarization of light which we will be studying in this video. To understand the phenomena, we must clearly know the types of waves. There are two types of waves, the longitudinal wave and the transverse waves. Longitudinal waves are the one in which the vibrations are in the direction of propagation of the wave, depicted by this diagram. Here, this arrow indicates the direction of motion of the wave, and this double arrow indicates the direction of vibrations. Here, as one can see, the vibrations are in the direction of propagation of the wave. The other type of wave, that is transverse wave, has vibrations perpendicular to the direction of propagation of the wave. The phenomena of interference, diffraction, reflection and refraction, these are common to both, that is longitudinal waves as well as transverse waves can be reflected, refracted, undergo interference phenomena and also show diffraction. However, polarization is a phenomena which is exclusive only to transverse waves. As we will see, light can be polarized, and since light exhibits this phenomena of polarization, it leads us to the conclusion that light is a transverse wave motion. Now, let's see this diagram to clearly understand what polarization implies. Now we will be restricting our study only to transverse waves because longitudinal waves cannot be polarized. The first diagram in three parts is a diagrammatic representation of unpolarized light. Here, in this first part, the central dot indicates that we have a transverse wave coming out of the plane of the board, and therefore the plane of the board is perpendicular to the direction of propagation of the wave, and all these directions are probable directions of vibration perpendicular to the direction of propagation of the wave. So this is a diagram which represents an unpolarized light wave propagating out of the plane of the paper, because the vibrations are possible in any of the infinite directions possible within this plane. This is another diagram, diagrammatic representation of unpolarized light, where we have vibrations in the plane of the board and perpendicular to the plane of the board. Here in this third diagram, we have a wave propagating towards right along horizontal, and this circle represents a plane perpendicular to direction of propagation. In this circle, the small arrows show probable infinite directions of vibrations. So such a wave in which the vibrations can be in any direction normal to propagation of the wave is called unpolarized light. However, if the vibrations are confined to one single direction perpendicular to direction of propagation of the wave is said to be plane polarized. Here, this diagram, we have wave propagating along plus x direction and the vibrations exclusively in y direction. Diagrammatically represented in this manner, there is a single direction of vibrations, or here the vibrations are normal to the plane of the board. Here the vibrations are in the plane of the board. The light in all these three diagrams is plane polarized light. So these two diagrams, set of 6 subparts, help us understand what is polarization. Polarization is the phenomena by which the vibrations in a transverse wave are confined to a single direction. Here the vibrations are in single direction, single direction, single direction. So these three represent polarized light, whereas these represent unpolarized light. The plane in which the vibrations are contained is called plane of vibration, and the plane perpendicular to the plane of vibration is called plane of polarization. How can we polarize light? We'll study in the next part of this video. In order to get polarized light from unpolarized light, we can use certain crystals known as polarides. Tourmaline is one such naturally occurring crystal. If unpolarized light is made to pass through a tourmaline crystal, the crystal allows only those vibrations which are parallel to the crystallographic axis of the polaroid. So here the transmitted light is plane polarized because the vibrations are confined to one particular direction. The intensity I of the light transmitted by the crystal is related to intensity I naught of unpolarized incident light by the relation I equal to I naught by 2. A rotation of P1 will rotate the direction of vibration because this will always be parallel to the crystallographic axis, but it will not affect the intensity of the transmitted light. This is a test for the light being unpolarized. That is, if unpolarized light is incident on a polaroid and the polaroid is rotated, the study of intensity of the transmitted light tells us whether the incident light is unpolarized or not. That is, the test is if rotation of P1 or the crystal does not affect the intensity of the transmitted light, then the incident light is unpolarized. Now, how can we differentiate between unpolarized light and polarized light? Will be clear from this setup. If another crystal P2 identical with P1 is another tourmaline crystal is placed in the path of polarized light with axis of P2 parallel to P1, all the vibrations here, they will also pass through this because the two are parallel directions. Hence the intensity I dash of light transmitted by P2 is equal to intensity I of light incident on P2. That is, we have I dash equal to I. Now slowly rotate P2 without altering P1. If P2 is perpendicular to P1, that is, the two are in crossed position, the angle between crystallographic axis of P1 and P2 is 90 degree. In such case, these vibrations are completely blocked by P2. That is, the intensity of light transmitted by P2 drops to 0. We don't get any light here. So if P2 is gradually rotated, the intensity of light transmitted by P2 drops to 0. Hence, the rotation of P2 changes intensity I dash. Twice it will become 0 and twice it will become maximum. Maximum when their axes are parallel and 0 when their axes are perpendicular. In one rotation, the intensity is 0 twice and maximum twice. Then the light incident on P2 is plane polarized light. So the test for polarized light is you pass the light through a crystal called analyzer. The rotation alters the intensity of the transmitted light. This shows that the incident light is plane polarized. One thing must be remembered, the polarizer and the analyzer, they are both identical and they can be interchanged. We have stated that if I0 is intensity of unpolarized light incident on a polarizer, the intensity of the polarized light transmitted is given by I equal to I0 by 2. This can easily be proved by following consideration. The diagram shows unpolarized light. As we can see, the vibrations are possible in various directions. If we consider one such direction and take A as the vibration amplitude incident on a polarizer, we can resolve A in two components, A cos theta along the path axis, A sin theta perpendicular to the path axis. This component is allowed, whereas perpendicular component is blocked. So what we get is the average of this amplitude as theta varies from 0 to 2 pi. So we have intensity proportional to square of the amplitude. So I0, the intensity of incident light, is Ka square, whereas intensity of the transmitted light will be given by K A cos theta average value squared. Now I is equal to I average or K A square cos square theta average as theta changes from 0 to 2 pi. Now this we can evaluate mathematically. Cos square theta average is 1 over 2 pi cos square theta, theta varying from 2 pi. You can use this trigonometric relation. The integral of cos 2 theta over a complete cycle will be 0. So you get I is equal to I0 by 2. Hence, if unpolarized light of a certain intensity is incident on a Polaroid, it polarizes the light and allows only half the intensity of the incident light. Likewise, we can correlate the intensity of light transmitted by analyzer I dash with intensity of incident plane polarized light I. Now this is unpolarized light. After passing through a polarizer, the light which we get is plane polarized light of intensity I, and the amplitude or of vibration is in one particular direction along the path axis. Let A denote this amplitude. These vibrations are incident on analyzer. We have a diagram here which is amplified view of this diagram. This vertical line represents the path axis of the analyzer. This represents the incident vibration amplitude denoted by A, and theta is the angle between path axis of the polarizer and analyzer. A can be resolved into two components, A cos theta along path axis, which will be allowed, and A sin theta perpendicular to the path axis, which will be blocked. So intensity of the transmitted light is given by K into the amplitude allowed, component of the amplitude allowed, A cos theta whole square, which gives you K A square cos square theta. Now K A square is I, the intensity of the incident plane polarized light. So we have I dash is equal to I cos square theta. which relates intensity I dash of the transmitted light to the intensity I of the plane polarized light as I dash is equal to I cos square theta. The relation is also known as Malus law. Malus law, according to which if plane polarized light of intensity I is incident on an analyzer, then the intensity of the transmitted light I dash is given by I cos square theta, where theta is the angle between the pass axis of the polarizer and that of the analyzer. Here are some special cases. If theta is 0 or pi, then cos square theta will be 1. So intensity of light transmitted is equal to that of the incident plane polarized light. So it is maximum both when theta is 0 or theta is 180 degree. Likewise, if theta is 90 degree or 270 degree, cos square theta is 0 and the intensity of transmitted light drops to 0, which we use as a test for the plane polarized light. That is, in one complete rotation, twice the intensity drops to 0 and twice the intensity becomes maximum, that is equal to the incident plane polarized light. Another important method to produce polarized light is by reflection. The experimental observations show that when light is incident on a surface XY with any transparent medium, say water or glass or any other medium, the reflected light is found to be partially polarized. If we change the angle of incidence and keep on studying the reflected light for a particular angle IP called polarizing angle or Brewster's angle, polarizing angle or Brewster's angle, the reflected light is found to be completely plane polarized light, and the vibrations reflected are perpendicular to the plane of the board or plane of this XY, the interface. The measurements carried out by Brewster show that IP and refractive index of the medium, they are related as mu is equal to tangent IP, which led to an important and simple conclusion. As we will see, we have mu is equal to sin I by sin R. This is known as Snell's law, and again mu is equal to tangent IP, Brewster's law, equal to sin IP over cos IP. If you compare these two equations, you get cos IP equal to sin R equal to cosine of 90 minus R, which implies IP equal to 90 minus R, or the sum of the angles IP and R is 90 degree. That is, IP and R, they are complementary angles, which gives you the reflected ray perpendicular to the refracted ray. Conversely, if we start from this result at polarization, we can get Brewster's law, because if reflected ray and refracted ray are normal, it implies IP plus R equal to 90, IP equal to 90 minus R, or R equal to 90 minus IP. Mu is equal to sin I over sin R, which means sin I over cos I equal to tangent IP. That is, it leads us to Brewster's law. The light also gets polarized by scattering, as you can see in this diagram. Supposing unpolarized light like sunlight is incident along Z direction, The vibrations will be along any direction in x or y plane defined by this circle. Here, when the light is incident on a molecule, say nitrogen molecule in atmosphere, it gets scattered in various directions. If we observe light scattered along x direction, the vibrations will only be in y direction, because originally there are no vibrations in z direction. Similarly, light observed in y direction will have vibrations only along x direction. So light scattered in a direction perpendicular to the incident direction is always plane polarized. Applications of Polaroid. Some of the applications of the Polaroid are: they are used in 3D motion pictures, used to produce 3D maps. They are also used in holograms, the stickers which you see usually on your books and notebooks these days. They are used in sunglasses because they can discard or block 50% of the light incident on the Polaroids. They are also used in window panes of AC compartments in trains and in planes to reduce the heat and light entering the compartments.